The episode begins with our main character sitting with his girlfriend, his name is Yoon-ho, who is telling him that she wants to break up because she has found someone better and wealthier. He imagines how she might have tested the other men, feeling hurt by the comparison. Despite his emotions, he agrees with her decision and, in a final attempt, asks if they could play a game one last time as a farewell. She rejects his request, calling him a pervert, and walks away. Left alone, he feels a mix of sadness and anger, vowing to forget her as quickly as the speed of light. But in the very next moment, he finds himself imagining her again. At this point, we learn that he is waiting for someone. His friend Minsu, an extroverted and lively person, was causing a bit of a scene, disturbing other partygoers. Eventually, a waiter asked them to leave the club. They ended up at the Yoon-ho house, where they continued drinking. As the alcohol flowed, he began to vent his frustrations, saying that all women only want richer partners. Minsu, not one to back down, retorted that all men just want more and more women. This led to an argument, and in the heat of the moment, she challenged him. If she could eat the trouser snake and make it awake, he would owe her 50,000. He agreed, and she began her bold challenge. The scene opens with Yoon-ho and Minsu caught in a tense moment. Despite his efforts to stay composed, Yoon-ho is overwhelmed by his emotions. As their interaction becomes more intense, he loses control and begins to act impulsively, reaching for Minsu. However, when he accidentally calls her by his ex-girlfriend's name, Minsu, visibly upset, reacts with anger and firmly pushes him away. In the next scene, Yoon-ho is seen rushing to his class. In his haste, he accidentally bumps into a girl and quickly helps her up. Just as he's doing so, Minsu arrives and quietly leads him to a secluded room. Once inside, Yoon-ho tries to dismiss the previous night's events, casually claiming that he's forgotten what happened. Minsu's expression, however, reveals a mix of emotions, suggesting that she still has lingering feelings or unresolved thoughts about what took place. As the scene unfolds, another couple enters the room to begin their practical examination. Yoon-ho and Minsu, still nearby, find themselves in an awkward situation due to the unexpected intrusion. While the couple continues their exam, Yoon-ho and Minsu try to maintain their composure, but the situation becomes even more uncomfortable when they end up with watermelons between them. In the midst of the confusion, Yoon-ho unintentionally becomes excited, leading to a moment where, through a brief accidental contact, he and Minsu accidentally share a kiss. After the couple finishes their exam, they leave the room, followed by Minsu and Yoon-ho, who head to their respective classes. Later at a bar, Yoon-ho runs into Ga-young, the girl from the exam. She confronts him, mentioning that she noticed him watching her during the exam. She then makes an unexpected comment, subtly referencing his recent behavior with the snake, hinting at what had happened earlier. After she confronted him about what he was doing with Minsu in that room, she assured him that she'd keep it a secret. However, she had one condition: she wanted something special from him. He hesitated, asking if she didn't already have a boyfriend. She casually mentioned that the other guy was just an exam partner, nothing more. Though he initially tried to resist, his emotions got the better of him, and they ended up spending some time together. Afterward, he reminded her to keep their little encounter private, and she agreed. The next scene revealed Yoon-ho visiting Minsu's house, where he hinted that he might have feelings for her, and then kissed her. They then began focusing on their exams, but suddenly, it was revealed that Minsu had just woken up. It had all been a dream. Just as she processed the dream, Yoon-ho arrived at her place and rang the bell. He came by to apologize for what happened the previous day, but ended up fainting from drinking too much. She helped him into bed and then went to take a shower. While she was in the bathroom, he unknowingly walked in, only to be startled when they saw each other. In a panic, he quickly left the bathroom and hurried out of her room. The next day, Yoon-ho was with a friend who reminded him that he had missed his professor's last class. Realizing this, he rushed to the professor's office to apologize and asked how he could make up for it, saying he was willing to do anything. The professor's expression turned suggestive as she replied, "Are you sure you'll do anything I ask?" She leaned in closer, giving him a teasing look, and he momentarily got lost in his imagination. Snapping back to reality, she told him to meet her at her office next week, and then asked him to leave the next day. Min-soo and Yoon-ho met in art class, where both of them felt awkward and struggled to focus. Yoon-ho offered to take Min-soo out for lunch, but before they could leave, Ga-young appeared and pulled him away for lunch instead. After spending the afternoon together, Ga-young led him to a secluded spot, where she surprised him by taking off her clothes. She mentioned that she wanted to relive their previous encounter, but this time in an open space. She playfully began to handle the situation, leading to a more intimate moment, which eventually escalated. Yoon-ho accidentally left his bag and phone in the art class, so Min-soo decided to bring them to his room. When Yoon-ho arrived, he found her waiting for him. He offered her a drink, which she initially refused, but eventually they both sat down and started drinking together. As they drank, Min-soo reminded him about the 50,000 he owed her for the bet. Yoon-ho, claiming he didn't remember what the bet was about, dismissed it. Frustrated, Min-soo got up and playfully began searching him for his wallet. Although she didn't find it, she noticed something else had woken up. Feeling embarrassed, she tried to leave the room, but Yoon-ho grabbed her hand, pulled her close, and confessed that he couldn't control himself. He then leaned in and kissed her. They shared an intense moment, exchanging kisses before things escalated further. Their encounter became a back-and-forth game, leaving both of them feeling a bit awkward afterward. Once they were done, Min-soo went to take a bath, and Yoon-ho left the room to give her some space. The next day in class, Min-soo quietly told him to meet her after class. They met at the basketball court and decided to play a quick match. After the game, she told him that what happened yesterday was just a game as well, and suggested they should both move on and forget about it. He agreed with her, and they parted on good terms. Later, Yoon-ho received an urgent call from his friend and rushed to meet him, only to find him outside a club. They decided to go inside, where Yoon-ho met a girl who seemed particularly drawn to him. She invited him to her room, where they ended up playing a different kind of game. During their time together, she suddenly asked if he recognized her. When he admitted that he didn't, she reminded him that she had once been his student when he worked as a private tutor. She confessed that she had always had feelings for him. Despite initially planning to end things, he found himself unable to resist and continued their intimate encounter. The following day, Yoon-ho's professor informed him that he had only that day to meet with her at her studio. When he arrived and rang the bell, another girl answered the door. Upon arrival, Yoon-ho was introduced to Bora, a model he had previously encountered in college. His professor explained that she needed him to clean up the warehouse as part of his assignment. Yoon-ho, determined to improve his grade, agreed and set to work. After finishing the cleaning, Yoon-ho reported back to his professor, but she appeared quite stressed. She explained that the model she had hired did not show up, so she asked if Yoon-ho could step in as a model. As a painter, she wanted to create a portrait featuring both Bora and Yoon-ho. They both prepared for the session, removing their clothing as part of the modeling process. The scene was set in a relaxed pose as they took their positions. The artistic atmosphere of the studio was complemented by this setting. They were both in their positions when the snake awoke. Bora carefully placed the snake between her legs. Yoon-ho thought that if he thought about Min-soo, the snake might fall asleep, and it was about to do so. But at that moment, he realized he was having a gaming moment with Min-soo, which caused the snake to wake up. Finally, the task was completed, and they both headed home. When Bora invited him for a drink, he agreed, and they went to a bar together. After that, Bora invited him to her room, where she showcased her artwork. He was impressed by her talent, and began to admire her paintings. This sparked a lengthy and engaging conversation between them. As they drew closer, Bora leaned in, and they shared a tender moment. Later, they engaged in a playful and competitive activity, taking turns being in the lead. Next, we saw that his professor was also lost in thought, imagining Yoon-ho. Meanwhile, we were shown that he was deeply engaged in an activity with Bora. The next day, he slipped out of the room while Bora was still asleep, leaving a message for her. He then headed to his class where he found out that it was the last day to work on their assignment. As a result, everyone was busy working on their projects until late at night. It was during this time that Ga-young approached him, saying that her laptop had stopped working and asking if he could help her. While he was fixing her laptop, Ga-young stood uncomfortably close to him, her body brushing against his. She playfully touched his arm, but he gently rebuffed her. She asked him why he was being so distant, wondering if it was because of Min-soo. He reassured her that they were just friends. Ga-young then climbed onto the couch beside him, and they started playing a game together. Meanwhile, Min-soo had been drinking excessively in a bar. After they finished the game, Yoon-ho decided to head to a convenience store, where he ended up drinking too much. Coincidentally, Bora called him and he picked up, telling her that he was at the convenience store. She came to pick him up and took him back to her room, where he began to reminisce about his ex-girlfriend name. The next day, Yoon-ho apologized for his mistakes the previous night. Bora graciously accepted his apology and even offered to buy him breakfast in class. However, Yoon-ho was still visibly tense, so Min-soo suggested they take a trip to the beach to help him unwind. After a relaxing afternoon by the ocean, they headed back to his room to grab a drink. Yoon-ho confided in Min-soo, sharing his insecurities about not being good at anything, which he believed led to his girlfriend breaking up with him. Min-soo reassured him, saying that wasn't the case. She playfully teased him, saying that he had a certain of a bigger snake that had even hurt her stomach. As they shared their experiences from the previous night, the conversation grew more intense. Their emotions got the better of them, and they began to kiss. Initially, she resisted, but soon after she gave in and returned his kiss. Things escalated, and the chemistry between them sparked once more, leading to a moment of deep connection. As they continued, she playfully took control, getting on top and initiating another round of their game. The next day, also the couple resumed their secret trysts in the college storage room, unaware that their professor had stumbled upon them. The professor, caught off guard, was taken aback by the intimate scene before them. The following day, the professor announced to the class that they would be going on a trip. The students were excited, and the next scene showed them all boarding a bus. Yoon-ho had already taken his seat and kindly offered the adjacent seat to Min-soo. However, just as Min-soo was about to sit down, Ga-young appeared and took the seat instead. As the bus ride continued, Ga-young caught Yoon-ho's attention by revealing a watermelon when everyone else was dozing off. When Ga-young tried to flirt with Yoon-ho on the bus, he politely declined, saying, "Not today." Eventually, they arrived at their destination where Ga-young's vase was waiting. However, she couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy when she saw Yoon-ho and Min-soo together. As they played football, Min-soo got injured, and Yoon-ho rushed to get him some medication. Ga-young saw this as an opportunity to get close to Yoon-ho again and hugged him. However, Yoon-ho gently pushed her away and went to check on Min-soo instead. Meanwhile, Ga-young's exam partner stopped her and asked if she was ignoring him because of Yoon-ho. On the other hand, Min-soo and Yoon-ho were enjoying each other's company, playing with water. But suddenly, Min-soo felt uncomfortable and excused herself, only to run into Ga-young and her exam partner again. After the group finished drinking, their professor announced that she would be leaving. Yoon-ho offered to walk her to the bus stop, which was quite far away. As they strolled together, the professor thanked him for modeling for her and asked if he would be willing to model for her again. Just then, a truck came speeding around the corner, and Yoon-ho quickly pushed the professor out of the way, saving her from harm. However, in the process, they found themselves standing very close to each other, which made the professor feel awkward. She told Yoon-ho that he could leave now, and she could make it to the bus stop on her own. Yoon-ho returned to his friends and continued drinking. Later, he took Ga-young to a room where she playfully tried to get him to kiss her. After some teasing, they eventually started getting the game started under the blanket, taking turns being on top of each other. After spending time with Ga-young, Yoon-ho stepped outside and found Min-soo waiting for him with drinks. They started chatting and having a drink together. In the midst of their conversation, Yoon-ho accidentally touched Min-soo, and she suddenly pushed him away. Yoonho was taken aback and asked Minsu what was wrong. She confessed that his touch had aroused her, and Yoonho, being playful, teased her by touching her again, saying that she should be turned on now. Minsu, feeling comfortable with Yoonho, agreed to continue the game moment in the small bench area. After a moment, he stood up with her and resumed the game, supporting the tree. Then, the snake released its venom. After the game, they returned to their room, where they found Gayeon and the exam guy fighting. The guy asked who the guy Gayeon liked was. Gayeon replied that it was Yoonho. Everybody was shocked to hear that. The exam guy had come to beat up Yoonho, but Minso intervened and kicked him instead. Yoonho tried to clarify to Gayeon that she had been mistaken, but Minso said that she had no problem with Gayeon and him, since they were not dating. But her facial expression shows that she has a problem. The next day we saw Yoonho in his class, where one of his classmates named Sejin told him that she had seen Gayeon and him during their action game. At first, he was shocked, and then he asked her seriously if she had any proof. She said that she had photos of their activities. He changed his mood and begged her to delete the photos. She set a condition that he had to buy her a chicken, and he agreed. He took her to get the chicken, but instead, she drank a lot. Yoonho asked her to delete the photos, but instead, she fainted. He took her to her room where he saw her phone and was about to take it when she asked him if he wanted to do that activity with her. She confessed to him that she didn't have any photos and that she had lied to him. She revealed that she wanted to do the activities with him because she was born into a strict family and attended an all-girls school, and as a result, she had never had a boyfriend or played the game before. She begged him not to reject her, saying that she would die of embarrassment if he rejected her. He agreed, and told her to turn off the light and start the game. In the middle of the game, Yoonho suddenly stopped, and told her that she should continue playing with someone she loved, not just anyone. Look who says this. After saying this, he left the room, where he ran into Minso, who was on a blind date set up by her friend. Seeing them together, Yoonho felt a pang of sadness. The next day, Gayeon took him shopping in her sports car and sent him into a trial room to try on a shirt. She followed him in, undressed, and began to undress him, restarting their game. The store staff called out to them to come out, but they ignored them. Afterwards, they went to the most expensive restaurant in town, where Gayeon booked a room after they had finished drinking. She was lying in the bathtub, without clothes. Gayeon told him about her past, revealing that she had once been in love with someone, but he had cheated on her and only wanted her for her money. After that, she had changed and started dating many guys, eventually finding him. She found him different from the others and wanted a serious relationship with him. Saying this, she pulled him into the bathtub, and they both started playing their game. The next day, Yoonho went to college, where he ran into Sejin. She was wearing a jersey of a famous footballer, and Yoonho asked her if she was a fan of the sport. She replied that she loved watching football, and even invited him to her room to watch a match together the next day. Yoonho agreed, and the next day, he went to her room to watch the game. They decided to make it more interesting by placing a bet on the match. Sejin won the bet, and as her prize, she asked Yoonho to play a game with her. At first he refused, but eventually, he couldn't resist her charms and agreed to play. Since it was her first time, Sejin was having a hard time, but Yoonho patiently taught her how to play, and soon they were both enjoying themselves. The next day in class, Sejin invited Yoonho to a movie. He agreed, and they went to the theater together. As they were watching the film, they started kissing each other. But just then, Minso called him, saying she wasn't feeling well and had a stomach ache. Yoonho immediately left the theater and rushed to her room, where he took her to the hospital. He took care of her throughout the day, and at night, he stayed with her, sleeping on the floor. She offered him her bed, and he eventually got in beside her. They started kissing again, and things began to get game. But just as they were getting started, a nurse walked in and caught them, putting a stop to their romantic encounter. The next day, they were both too embarrassed to stay in the hospital. so they took their discharge and headed back to her room. When they arrived, Yoonho asked Min so if she wanted to eat something, and she replied that she wanted to eat snake soup. She also hinted that she wanted to resume their game. Yoonho agreed and they continued where they had left off. After they finished, he asked her to be his F-buddy. At first she was taken aback and even hit him, but eventually, she agreed on one condition. She would be his F-buddy for 1 month, and after that they would go back to being normal friends. Yoonho agreed to her terms, and they even signed a contract to seal the deal. With their agreement in place, they started their F-buddy arrangement, and their romantic games continued. The next day, Yoonho apologized to Sejin for leaving the theater without saying goodbye. She forgave him, but only on the condition that he would treat her to something. After the treat, they went on a fair ride together, where they found themselves in some compromising positions. After the ride, they headed to a cafe, where they started playing a game. Yoonho was a bit nervous, but Sejin reassured him, saying she couldn't control herself and needed him to take things further. So, he took the initiative and made a move on her. After Yoonho went to Minso's room, and they started playing their favorite game together, moving from the floor to the bed, to the shower. After they finished, Minso stumbled upon a message from Sejin on Yoonho's phone, which led her to believe that Yoonho and Sejin were dating. Meanwhile, Yoonho received a call from his professor, asking him to model for a solo model, so he headed out to fulfill the request. His professor told him that she wanted to capture his expression when he was fully immersed in his game. Yoonho was confused, unsure what expression he made during gaming, so his professor helped him recall. She started eating snake soup in front of him, which triggered the desired expression. Once she got the shot, she told him he could leave. Later, Yoonho and Minso went out for drinks, where they coincidentally ran into Sejin, who joined them. However, Sejin ended up drinking too much, and Yoonho had to carry her back to her room, where Minso was waiting outside. The next day in class, they were assigned a group project. They went to Yoonho's house to work on it. While they were there, Sejin felt jealous seeing how close Minso and Yoonho were. After finishing the project, Sejin and Minso went back to their homes. However, Sejin returned to Yoonho's room and told him she wanted to play a game with him. Yoonho agreed, and they started playing together. Minso also came back, intending to play with him. But then from outside the building, she decided to leave, thinking Yoonho might be asleep. The next day at college, while Yoonho was in the washroom, Minso approached him and told him that she wanted to play a game at their place later. At first, he said he was feeling very tired, but she insisted, saying she would help him feel better. They started playing the game, and soon Yoonho joined in as well. Meanwhile, Sejin was waiting for both of them in the classroom. In the next scene, their group presentation went well. After the presentations, they went out for drinks and were having a good time. While they were enjoying themselves, Yoonho's friend, who was holding him, started singing. At that moment, Sejin gathered her courage and asked Yoonho in front of everyone if he would be her boyfriend. After that, Sejin went to the washroom where she vomited. Minso helped her and then took her home. Later, Yoonho returned to his room, but after some time, Minso came to him and said that their contract ends today. She then asked him to be her boyfriend, confessing that she loved him. Yoonho accepted her love, and after that, they went to their room to play a game together. The next day at college, Yoonho made it clear to Sejin that he couldn't be her boyfriend. After that, their professor announced that it was their last class. After the class, Yoonho and Minso went to her home and played a game together. Once they finished, Yoonho's friend came and knocked on the door, and that's where our chapter ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked the story. See you again.